Welcome back to Sushi Radio, where, of course, your hosts are broke. So, we're still in VR chat without any real food, and we're starving. Please help. I'm your host, Distant Bubble. Beside me, I have my co host.
It's Astxia. Hello, everyone. So, what are we going to talk about today?
Today I was thinking, about reminiscing upon the past, especially like old days, just talking about how everything now is so old from what we remember during our childhoods and growing up.
So,
You know,
it's more for like the
basically
2030s.
anyone from the 1990s to early 2000, like 2005. No, 2003. That's when it ends, basically.
I see.
So 1990s to 2003. Let's see. Where's a good point to start? Let's start with GameCube. GameCube. That was the OG console that everyone wanted when they were younger.
Everyone's gonna hate us because we also
Before
had the
why?
N64 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, Nintendo 64, N64, but GameCube, you know, like GameCube was more popular than N64. Actually, no, they were both the same. Actually,
I really don't know about
you know,
the old Nintendo consoles. Like, I used to have a
yeah,
Game Boy, and that's about it for me. So I don't really know anything about it.
I miss Game Boys.
I mean, yeah, I really
I
enjoyed
miss
Game
Game
Boy as
Boys.
well. Yeah, I really like the Pokemon series as well. But
I mean, everyone loves Pokemon. Pokemon was great back in the day. And like the Pokemon now, it's so different from what I remember.
yeah.
Because there's so many new Pokemon and it's just new characters and stuff. I'm not used to it.
Well, I guess it's more
Yeah.
of the style that the original people like when the old people like. It's so weird saying old people, but when the original generation started,
Yeah, artists. Yeah,
yeah, the
because
art
the
style is very
art
different,
style
and
changed.
the how should I say the producers also like want a different style as well. It's more like what like maybe from the first to fourth generation it's more like pocket monsters, but from the fifth generation onwards it's more like Pokemon, Like
I
the
see.
original they actually felt like monsters, but right now they're more like I don't know, friendly animals? I guess you could say.
Pets. You're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
pets.
pets.
Yeah, yeah, pets, but they evolved to a human being, like a humanoid. That's what I think.
A humanoid pet.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's weird.
y- a lot's changed, And I was just speaking to you a while ago how I looked, today I felt like listening to Billionaire, and I looked it up and realized it's 11 years old. So before I came, to the studio because we only have an allocated time slot because we're broke. Please help, guys. Um, you know, I spoke to some other people and said, "Oh, do you remember this song?" And they're like, "No." But they're older than me, so it's like it. I don't know. It put me in a sense of anxiety because I remember that was such an iconic song back in the day. Everyone sang it and it was used so much. Like Billionaire by Bruno Mars, Grenade by Bruno Mars. They're both 10 years old, 11 years old almost. And you look at it and you're like, wow, damn, time has flown and
I
it's
mean,
changed.
if you're gonna talk about songs, you have to remember that Gangnam Style is gonna be 10 years old next year.
Wow, yeah, no, I remember 2012 when Gangnam Style came out. It took the world by storm. That was when, you know, the world just went crazy for it. I think I remember looking in Korean news that Gangnam Style was actually what basically opened Korea to the international market in terms of like K-pop and its industry. But, back onto our original agenda.
For me, I guess it's basically on before smartphones and after smartphones, where the time just
Yeah.
splits.
No, but there was a short period where you had touch phones and then smartphones.
Well, you have to know the difference.
It was like a very short period in between them both where you had touch phones that weren't smartphones but you could touch them. So they had a screen.
I used to have one of them.
Yeah, I had one as well. first phone. Dishing it out there. Brick phone, Nokia. Any Western person will know that's an OG phone. You could toss that at someone, and they would die because It's literally called the brick phone.
Well, it's gonna
That's the name it got.
the Nokia
Got.
phone. We also have a lot of jokes about them, where all
Yeah.
humanity's just died and the aliens come in and the first thing they see is a Nokia phone, well functioning as well.
Wow.
It's just never gonna
No.
die. It's just not gonna die.
Yeah. You can throw it at a wall, drop it from an aeroplane. It'll still survive.
It's still gonna
Probably.
work. Yeah, it's still gonna work. Everyone's gonna know.
Yeah.
The phone's gonna
The
be
phone
okay.
is so
Yeah,
robust.
the phone is gonna be okay when you just drop it down from
Mm.
the sky to the floor, and the floor's gonna be the one gonna break
Yeah.
everything up. The floor's gonna break, the phone's
Yeah.
gonna be fine.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, we have what after brick phones, it went into flip phones or slidey phones.
I think it's flip phones first, and then slidey phones next.
Okay, I flip phones I loved. I love flicking up and down. It was so therapeutic. Just walking around and you have your flip phone. I but main topic I forgot. The key thing about old phones. Snake. The game Snake. How that is the one thing you cannot forget about the old times is the OG game everyone played. You would see if people had phones, you would see a line of people play Snake, and the competition would be who could last the longest and get the biggest snake. That was I
When
miss those
how
days.
old were you back in the day? I think I was like, I don't know, 3, 2. I don't even remember.
What?
Like I knew
Wait,
the game when I was like,
wait. When I got my first phone, when
nah,
I got
like
my first, what?
like when Snake was a thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, Snake. Snake was a thing for ages. I knew Snake was a thing when I was 5, but I never got a phone. Like, I never had a phone to play it because obviously your parents use phones, but for work and stuff. But I never took their phone. It was only until like when I was 8 or 7 that I started playing Snake. But it was still very popular. It lasted so long because obviously phones hadn't developed that much. I think it was when, no, 2013, 2015. No, 2013, 2015. I'm sorry. 2012, 2013. That's when iPhone came out. That I know.
No,
That's when the first iPhone came out.
I'm pretty sure it's before that, around 2011.
Okay. 2011. Okay. Within that region. And then that's when people started switching. But in Britain, so this is what happened. During 2013, the two popular phones you would see during like school kids would be either iPhone or BlackBerry, which in Britain you called BB. BlackBerry was like mainstream iPhone today, but BlackBerry was the most mainstream phone that so many people wanted because it had like all the social apps that iPhone has, but obviously not as advanced and not all of them, but what you needed as a kid back in the day to like talk to your friends, group chats and everything. That's what BlackBerry was, but then that died, but now it just disappeared from the phone world.
Well,
I mean, what
beside from
else?
phones, like, do you remember anything else?
Yeah.
Because I actually have something came up in mind for me.
What? What is it?
Cameras.
Oh,
Where you didn't
yes.
have a digital camera. You had to have a film for
Yes.
it. And
Yes. Remember those
you
remember
had to
those
buy a
small
camera
cameras
for
where you
every
had to like
single occasion.
slide on the top?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like you
where
just
you
like
had
put your film
you
in.
know those cameras where you slide on the top to actually get it working and then you could take a picture? Like
Yo,
oh, I
I
miss cameras.
remember I
Like
remember the films
mm,
when I was young. I really liked how films looked like. For some odd reason,
yeah. Yeah,
I just took it out from the camera and just like see it and you know.
Yeah, it's kind of satisfying.
I
Yeah.
yeah, like
Oh, remember how pictures were made? You take a picture of a camera, then you go to a
yeah,
store, or
yeah,
like
and you give them
they,
the people to film, and then they
yeah,
will
and
like
they
make the
print it out.
pictures out. Yeah.
And those old days, those old days. Ah, like you had so many cool things. In like game world, you had consoles and stuff. Nintendo 64. Yeah, Nintendo 64. You had GameCube. You had Nintendo Wii. Wii died, but the Wii songs and stuff still remain
I mean, Wii is just a
in
masterpiece
memes.
with the songs, to be
Yes.
honest. They actually made it really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a Wii. PlayStation, forgot about PlayStation. I still have one. It's in the attic. It's uh PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3,
I mean, 3 is
PSPs,
more like a nowadays things to me still. It's like a newer generation compared to 1 and
Vita.
2. And we also have
True,
PSP,
true.
PS Vita, Vita.
PSP died. I've not like I remember seeing PSP, but it died. Like after a while, it just disappeared off market and nothing came after.
No, there was a PS Vita, like Vita. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like a PS.
VITA.
Yeah, it's like a
Vita.
yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
PSP
PS Vita.
like uh upgraded model like where
Mm.
you like it's basically the PSP with more games with more advanced technology and stuff, but that also died all of a sudden. Like nothing came out from that
Yeah, the
afterward.
PSP well died, and I don't know why. Like, but then again, look at now, Nintendo Switch took over from the PSP genre.
Yeah,
PSP basically, Nintendo looked at PlayStation and was like, "Oh, okay, da Nintendo Switch."
well, talking about
Love
gaming,
that.
talking about portable
Yeah.
gamings, remember when everyone literally had a Nintendo DS?
Yes, I have it. I still have my DS and it still works.
I still do have one as well, and it still works perfectly fine.
And I'm just like, the DS was a good old day. When it came out, everyone's like, "Oh, I want a DS! I want a DS!" Because it was,
It was
uh,
a innovation for gaming because we never had a touch
yeah,
screen for portable gaming devices, you know?
yeah. That's so true.
I mean, we
But
actually
I also
didn't. I
remember,
remember we actually didn't have touch phones as well back in the time.
no, during DS period. Yeah, that's true. DS period, there wasn't touch phones yet.
Yeah, that's why it's so innovative, you know? It was such a revolution.
Yeah, everyone, DS took the world by storm when it first came out.
No, like it
It was so
was.
popular, but then
Yeah,
you have the DS2, then the DS3, then like 3D, and then it kind of just went left. DS never existed anymore, and then everyone took over with Switch.
I mean, Nintendo DS is a huge part of my life as well because I played
Mm.
Pokemon, of course.
No, I feel like the old times, the mainstream game was Pokemon, Zelda, like all the nostalgic
Pokemon, Zelda,
games.
Nintendogs. You can't forget
Yeah,
Nintendog.
on Nintendo 64, because I remember one of I did play Nintendo 64 quite a lot during my childhood, and the duck shooting game,
Duck Hunt, yeah, I
the
remember.
yeah, Duck Hunt. That's what it's called. Thank you. I was so good at that game.
I mean, we should probably talk
Go to
about
my
we
uncle's
should
house.
probably talk about something else than games. Like do you remember
True.
anything else good and when you were younger?
When I was younger, like what I remember was everyone's mindset was different from what it is now. You know, before you had everyone singing like Bruno Mars songs, and I don't know. Okay, I don't want to say One Direction, but they did exist. I'm not too happy about that time period, but yeah.
So when I was younger and I was in
Hmm.
preschool, kindergarten or something, preschool.
Okay, yeah. Preschool, kindergarten's like primary school, nursery,
Yeah, exactly.
reception
So it's like
in Britain.
I remember like all the kids were into High Five, a children program show.
Oh, you just made me remember high five. Yeah. I actually went to a concert when I was a kid.
I
I
real
went to a high five concert when I was a kid.
Oh my god.
High five was so popular. Oh my god.
We have to
No, but the thing
remember.
is, High Five, like, the presenters of High Five changed. I had the old, like, first presenters when I liked High Five. Like, the initial presenters. I went to their concert, like a High Five concert. I went to their concert, like the people who first started High Five, the presenters. But then after a while, High Five presenters changed to like a different group.
I mean, I don't
And
remember anything
oh,
about it. The only moment I remember is when I was in preschool,
mm.
I liked High Five, and all the kids as well just loved it for some odd reason. I just don't know
I didn't
anything about it.
realize High Five was popular in Korea.
Well, it wasn't in Korea. You have to remember, I wasn't in Korea when I was young. That's the
Oh
thing.
yeah, I miss High Five. But speaking on TV shows, what's the old I? There's so many TV shows I remember as a child. You know, since you didn't live in Korea, maybe you remember stuff like Big Cook, Little Cook. Do you remember that TV show?
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, that was like the song, the start of that song was so like catchy. I still remember it now that I speak about it. It was like Big Cook, Little Cook, da 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 da. And then every time,
I mean, if you want to talk about
uh,
songs, it's also another thing, the old
yeah,
songs.
no. Oh,
I remember this one band
Minecraft
where
songs.
Minecraft. No,
No, oh, so basically, in obviously when you're younger, Minecraft was very popular. A lot of people played Minecraft,
I mean
and
it's still a new thing.
ba-
It's like it's basically.
kind of, but OG Minecraft is so different to what it is now. I miss OG Minecraft, like Minecraft when pigs were your only source of food. That's when I started. I didn't start at the very beginning. I started when bacon was your only within the region when bacon was your only source of food. There wasn't a hunger bar. There wasn't all the new stuff now. There was Herobrine as back then as well. And I was just like, oh my god.
I used to play
You
RuneScape when
don't.
I was like super young.
RuneScape, yes,
I
yes,
mean, we still have old school
OG.
RuneScape, like the.
Old school RuneScape, yeah, it's still alive, but the community for it's died a lot.
Feels so different because it seems like you already know what's gonna happen like within the next 2 hours or
Mm,
something like that. But back in the day
mm,
when everyone had no idea what was going on with RuneScape at all, like that is the
yeah.
golden time. Like everyone was so friendly, and there are also shitty people around as well. But most of them were really friendly and they were like trying to be nice with.
Yeah, no, and like RuneScape was basically a community where you ask a question, they're like, oh yeah, you do this, and then you can get this, and then you need that for this. Like you would actually help each other.
It's like
But then it sort of developed into, nah, I'm my own
it's like
thing.
VR chat back in the day VR chat, but with a way bigger community because every single
Mm.
guy, well, maybe not every single, but a lot of
No,
male
not every
dudes,
single guy. A lot of people.
it was a big
Yes.
thing back then. It was like the number one MMORPG back in the time as well.
Yeah, no, speaking of it, MMORPGs were like the biggest thing during the old time period. It was one of the biggest genres of games.
I know, yeah.
So many people looked for MMORPGs. You have that remind you have um in the old days, you have people who play MMORPGs because that was what was popular at the time, and it developed into other games and developed into other stuff. But in the topic of everything before now, fashion sense was very different.
Mm-hmm. True, true. Yeah.
Like, I don't think Gucci existed back then.
I don't even know what it's like to what's the fashion sense, you know? It's more like
Yeah, no,
it's like
like
nowadays
as a
people.
kid, you like
Oh, go ahead.
you have like what do you call it? You know those braces? What? Not braces. Those trousers that like go over your shoulder,
So it's overalls.
where you have those yeah, shoulder rolls or something, where you have two bands going over your shoulder connecting to the other side of your trousers. Those were popular. Then
That
you
was
had
a popular
trousers.
thing, yeah.
You had a lot of sweaters and jumpers,
I mean, it's more like
jumpers,
they felt more
lots of
free with
jumpers.
their outfits, you know, like with their fashion
Hmm.
sense.
Now
Nowadays,
I
people
would
like
say we're very more jujudgmental.
it's more
Very
like
judgmental.
you want to look more neat than free, if you know what I mean. Like,
I think so. I don't know, because I feel like, you know, basically now that people dress to stick on a trend or stick with a style. Before there wasn't like specific styles for the way someone dressed.
true.
You just dressed how you felt,
Yeah, exactly.
and or some people just threw on whatever.
Yeah, everything could be something back in the day.
Mm.
I mean, but we also have to
Childhood food.
childhood food.
Yeah. So during school, I this is for like anyone in Britain. British food, like during school, you would have these small trays, and it would have like a middle part for your knife, fork, spoon. You would have like a cup holder. You would have a spot for basically what Koreans use, basically what Asia used for like standard meals in school now. But obviously it's out of metal and everything. But before it was plastic and it would be different colored. So people would be like, "Oh, I want the red one. Oh, I want the blue one. I want the green one. I don't want the yellow one." Like that. Cuz there was different colors and people were picky over it. And it's funny. But I remember during school the desserts were the best. That are flapjacks. Do you know what a flapjack is?
No.
Flapjack is basically like imagine oats, but not really oats. It's like something similar to oats stick together, and it was really nice. It's healthy for you if I'm not mistaken. But
I mean, oats are
basically,
basically.
flapjacks were they was yeah they're sweet. The flapjacks were kind of sweet as well, as if I'm remembering it correctly as a child. But I remember seeing something when I grew a bit older that flapjacks, because flapjacks when I was younger were only square, but basically they didn't have triangular flapjacks anymore because someone threw it and it hurt someone. So they said triangular flapjacks are too dangerous. But a comedian made the joke. So you take a triangular flapjack that has three corners and you put one extra and says it's less dangerous.
Well, yeah, I mean, back in the day, the comedy programs were way more funnier because, it's way less sensitive with their topics,
Mm.
Like, people tend to be way less sensitive.
I'm going to be honest. English, British. I'll say British, not English. British, because you could have comedians from Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. All of them were great. Back in the day, comedians were funny. Like, don't get me wrong,
True.
comedians are funny now, but it's harder for them to have content or something humorous because of the way society is. Because it's like if they say something, someone's gonna get offended the wrong way, and then who knows? They're gonna get stabbed after the gig's done.
People can't take a joke for a joke. People get way too sensitive
Yeah.
these days. That's kind of a sad part. Like, because back in the days where people just joke about anything or everything, people just laugh it out. Maybe we
Mm.
also, like, to be fair, we also have some dark sides we just didn't want to see as well, like school bullying or you know child.
That's always
Uh,
been around.
yeah, it's always been around, but it's more like you know it's more like people
Mm.
just take things way too seriously and way too sensitive. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Or
people
maybe
are way
or maybe
more.
we were just kids that we didn't know anything back in the day as well. We were young.
No, because racism's not something you're born with; it's something you're taught.
Yeah, you're right.
And all the things, it's something you're taught. But you know, remember we're kind of you know strict on time, so we don't want to get kicked out of the studio because this is the only studio that lets us rent. So that's all for today, folks. Conclusion to our talk today is don't forget the past because the past had so much joy and nostalgic memories attached to it. And hopefully, this conversation has made you reminisce on the past and you go back looking at the old things you've been enjoying, old things that you miss as a child,
Or maybe some
whether it be
things you
games,
forget it,
music.
like something you forgot while being an adult as well.
Yeah,
You
you
know.
know.
Yeah, you also have some things that you forget becoming an adult, and sometimes you just remember by some triggerings.
Yes, 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 yes. So, the past is good, but hopefully we can change the future if we remember what we've done wrong.
Hell yeah.
So, I've been your host, Distant Bubble. This has been my co host.
Well, Astxia. We'll see you
Yes,
guys
and
in the next video.
yes.
Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and you guys can comment about things that we can talk about next episode as well.
Don't forget to tell us the things you remember in your childhood. That's also
Yeah,
important.
yeah, that also, yeah. Well,
Goodbye, everybody.
thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Hey!